as I've been saying over the course of this stream, as it has said in the title, tonight we're going to be talking about how God qualifies the unqualified. And this is something that I've honestly just been kind of... This has been a long time coming for me, essentially, this SeraphShares, because it was only a matter of time before I was going to talk about this. I've told you guys about how I'm super critical of myself. I'm always questioning what I do and things like that. And so kind of as a result of that, I feel extremely unqualified in everything that I do. More recently, I've felt unqualified preparing for the experience groups. Our small group studies for GodSquadChurch that started this week. I had a hand in writing the curriculum for that with Pastor Boss and Pastor Joey. And for the first couple weeks of us writing the curriculum, I didn't feel very useful. Obviously, they went to school to study the Bible. They're pastors. They know a lot more about the Bible than me. I mean, you can't say that they don't, because they do. They just do. So I felt kind of like a third wheel, in a sense, not really contributing all that much for the first few weeks of working on the curriculum. But eventually, I ended up having some really good input towards the curriculum. Pastor Boss and I were working on it one night, and I don't remember what it was, but I was like, we should talk about this because I think this is really important. And he was like, yeah, that's really good. And I had a couple more moments like that. So all in all, I felt really unqualified to write the curriculum for the experience groups. And then I ended up being kind of useful in it, which was good for my mind, I guess. But after the curriculum was written, the next task comes to teaching it. And of course, I feel like I can't teach it either, because I'm just a guy who messes up all the time, and I've never been trained in anything to teach the Bible to people or anything. So I'm like, how is this gonna go? And my church was doing a Lenten devotional. And so the very last devotional, the one for Easter Day, the person who wrote it basically came from a similar position as I did. They kind of talked about it in the sense that, why did I have to have the devotion for Easter Day? Surely this needs to be written by a pastor or a deacon, not me. Who am I to write the devotional for Easter Day? But then they kind of turned around and they went with the whole, God qualifies the unqualified thing. And so that was the day before my experience group on Monday. So that really empowered me. I just read that. I was like, God, you really know how to shut me up in my insecurities, don't you? And he does. He really does. But it doesn't end with experience groups. This is almost everything related to the God Squad that I just feel extremely unqualified for. Even videos and graphics, the things that I probably contribute the most for, I feel extremely unqualified in both of those areas because I have never had any professional learning on either of those things. The closest thing I have, I took one class in high school on Photoshop. I know nothing about graphic design. I know nothing about video production. But somehow God is using me to fill a void that we had in the ministry. And I'm doing a heck of a job, everybody tells me. I felt unqualified when I first started helping out with Minecraft Church. And now I'm saying, it's not saying sermons. Now I'm preaching sermons on GodSquadChurch. Who am I to be doing all this stuff when I have no training or anything? It's ridiculous. It's constantly blowing my mind. Anyway, I did want to get into some scripture tonight. I'm not going to put it up on screen, so just listen. Maybe that'll make you pay more attention. Whenever I switch the screen to the scripture, I always forget to switch it back, and then the editing looks weird. But first we're going to look at Moses, okay? We're going to look at Moses. It was going to be the main scripture that we look at. We're going to read Exodus 9 through 15. Exodus 3, 9 through 15. So Moses is speaking with God through the burning bush. And so this is God starting talking in verse 9. He says, I have indeed heard the cry of my people, the Israelites, and I see how the Egyptians are oppressing them. Now I am sending you to the king of Egypt so that you can lead my people out of this country. He just said that to Moses. And Moses is like, I am nobody. How can I go to the king and bring the Israelites out of Jesus? How can I do that? And God answered, I will be with you. And when you bring the people out of Egypt, you will worship me on this mountain. That will be the proof that I have sent you. But again, Moses replied, when I go to the Israelites and say to them, the God of your ancestors sent me, they will ask me, what is his name? So what can I tell them? God said, I am who I am. You must tell them. The one who is called I am has sent me to you. Tell the Israelites that I, the Lord, the God of their ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, have sent you to them. So Moses is talking to God, and God's like, go free the Israelites from Egypt. That's a tall order. The Israelites are in slavery in Egypt. And God's like, go to Pharaoh and free my people. And Moses is like, what? I am nobody. I am nobody. How can I do this? And God is like, because I'm telling you that you're going to go do this, okay? So go do it. Like, what more of an example can you have for God qualifying the unqualified? Moses really didn't think he was all that good of a speaker, much like myself. And suddenly God is asking him to go free his people and to convince Pharaoh to let them leave. And he's like, how can I do that? How can I manage that? And God's like, because I'm telling you to go do it. So go do it. I'll be with you. Don't worry about it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The disciples, the 12 disciples, another fantastic example of God qualifying the unqualified. The people God picked to be his disciples were just average, everyday people. One was a tax collector, one was a carpenter. Like, they were just normal people. They had no training in ministry, no training in anything that Jesus tasked them with while he followed them. But they still did it. They still were able to do it. And they did a heck of a job, didn't they? Especially after Jesus' death. They did some amazing things. But they were normal people when God called them. They were just normal, everyday people. Just like me. Just like you. And so, the whole thing that I've been wrestling with this past year, and the thing that I really just need to come to terms with, is that God has called me to this ministry for who knows what. For who knows what. And while I feel like I am extremely unqualified to do anything, I am qualified because God has called me. Does that make sense? Kind of. I mean, he's the God of the universe, so I guess he has the right to qualify me for whatever. But at the same time, it doesn't seem like it should work like that, does it? But it does, for whatever reason. One more scripture I want to read to you guys from 1 Corinthians 1:27 through 29. It says, "But God shows what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God shows what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God shows what is low and despised in the world, even things that are not, to bring to nothings things that are, so that no human being might boast in the presence of God." God uses broken people every day to do amazing things. And I'm just stinking honored to have been called to this amazing cause. It blows my mind every single day almost. So I hope that's encouraging to you guys. If you feel called by God to do something, but you don't feel like you have the qualifications, you don't feel like you can do it, if he really has called you to do it, you can do it because he called you to do it. He would not have called you to do it if you couldn't do it. You still need to rely on him. You still need to ask him for strength and wisdom in whatever it is he's called you to do, but you can do it with him because he called you to do it. So that's what I want to share with you guys tonight, that God qualifies the unqualified. I feel very unqualified, but you know what? I just need to stop questioning God because he's stinking amazing, and I just can't say anything other than that.